In part two of the presentation around the forum here at Harness Racing New Zealand, you'll hear from the breeders and owners and get their reaction around some of the proposed changes going forward. Well, what did you make of that presentation?
Greg, I thought it was excellent. I think we've got to commend Gary and his team and the committee, if that's the word, to set up to work through these issues that we've got. We definitely have to change. We have to look at the way we change. It's going to take a while to implement. There'll be some confusion, I guess, when these changes do take place, and then it'll settle out like anything when there is a big change. So looking forward to it and working with them.
The big change, of course, being the change of birth date, but coming from a breeding point of view, it provides the breeders with a great opportunity, but the industry as well.
Yeah, absolutely. From a stud point of view, stallions and breeders, I think it's going to give the opportunity for breeders to breed longer into the season. So, breeders will tend to breed up to Christmas, a few after that, but now, given the change in the dates and those horses are going to be racing longer at that age group, yes, it will give them the opportunity to breed longer into the season.
There's no question we need to make significant change if we're going to survive.
Oh, absolutely. I think we've been through COVID and we got through that, and that's brought on this opportunity, I think. Probably accelerated it, but we've got a new team in here. They're very transparent about it. They're bringing all the participants in, right across the breeders, the owners, trainers, sponsors. Everyone's had a part to play, and also going forward, clubs as well. And I think for the greater good, we've got to look at that and look at the way we can bring these changes. We've got to try something. We've got to increase the chances of returning to the participants and invigorating the game. And I think having these conversations is going to do that.
So what did you make of the presentation?
I was really impressed, actually. Obviously, there's been a lot of work and a lot of thought behind it. I think it's brave, to basically clear the board and start afresh. But I think there's some very exciting opportunities, providing everybody takes off their me hat and puts their we hat on.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely the key, isn't it? And they've made it quite clear, HRNZ, by bringing everybody in, that that's what they want.
Exactly, yeah. And I just hope that people realise, the risks if we don't approach it with that kind of attitude, and the opportunities if we do.
Ken, what did you make of the presentation?
Oh, look, absolutely fantastic. Look, it's needed to change. Things have to change, and what's great about this forum, everyone has been included. All participants, whether it be breeders, owners, horsemen, trainers. It's fantastic.
You're across so many of the spheres of this game, via sponsorship, via breeding and ownership. It needs to be a collective decision, doesn't it? Everybody has to buy in.
Yeah, look, the days have gone, people having their own agendas. I mean, for this game to be successful going forward, we need to work as a collective. And Gary Woodham's doing exactly that. I mean, he's leading it well from the top, and I think we're going to get great buy-in from this forum.
So how'd you find that?
Really good, actually. Very positive. People appreciating the fact that our game has probably slipped from where it was, and that there's a need to maybe change a few things if we're going to sustain the industry, as we know it.
Rob, it's not an option to do nothing, is it?
Well, it is actually. It's a choice, but I think those around the table understand that if we take that option, there are a few things that are really not going to change and help us keep going. So potentially, for us that have been involved in the industry for a long time, are we going to have harness racing as we know it in, say, 10 years' time? Maybe not.
From an ownership point of view, some of the stuff talked about being age group racing and open class racing. Did you see some merit in that?
Yes, although harness racing to me has always been a pyramid, so the majority of horses are not your elite horses. They're down near the bottom, on this rating scale now, say 50 to 60. So we have to keep in mind that not every horse is going to be part of an elite group that race for 2- and 3-year-old racing. But again, a lot of positives, and if we can increase the chances of those horses having racing opportunities, that's all good for everybody.
Did you enjoy the presentation?
Yeah, I thought it was real great, Greg. It's nice to see harness racing going forward. It's nice to see everyone's involved. You've got the trainers, you've got the drivers, and you've got the little hobbyists, and that's just really great. Really impressed with it.
I think the overwhelming feeling here, rather, is that we have to change.
Well, without a doubt. We only got to look back what's been going on. I mean, you know, you and I have been in the game 40 odd, well, you might not be 40 years, but I am 50 years or whatever it is, and we do have to change. It's like everything involved, you've got to move with the times, and the format we've seen today, it's got a long way to go, but definitely on the right track.
Yeah, that's the crucial thing, isn't it? It's only in its infancy, but there was some really positive discussion around the age groups and open class horses, and you race a lot of horses in those areas. Did you like what you saw?
Yeah, I think I did. There's one or two things there I wasn't quite comfortable with, which at this stage I'll just leave till the next couple of meetings, but overall, you know, we're heading the right way, and just a few more twinks, if I could fluke a few in, would be great.
Well, this has been a big week.
Well overdue, Greg. I'm delighted that we've started, and I am so impressed with the people that have turned up and their contribution. Bring it on for another few weeks.
What were your goals in your own mind initially?
Okay, really it was to let everyone know that HRNZ is a different beast than it's been before, and to start the communication trail. I don't think we've been great at it. We've got to get better, and this is our time to actually show them that their thoughts and their words matter.
Gary, there's been a huge amount of information which has been provided across the entire industry. How do you reckon it's been received?
Yeah, well, hopefully you're going to get some clips of that and let the participants speak for themselves, but everybody who's spoken to me after each session thanked us for the work we've done to date. The common theme was change has to happen, and thanks for bringing something to the table to start that change thought process.
Throughout each session you've been at pains to establish that we're only in the very infancy of this process. In fact, the 10% of how far we've got to go with this has been used quite a lot.
Yeah, so we've started at 10% is what I'm saying, and the reason I say that is it's only the thoughts of 6 or 7 people that have been working on that. I need thoughts of a greater, wider group of people to make sure that we've got it right. So that's what I'm saying, 10%. We've got a time date, and I've made it very clear 31st of October is our goal, and at this stage we think we're right on marker to hit that. If anything, we might be probably a week earlier if we can, which would be great, but I'm not going to rush it, Greg, until we get it right.
All right, the focus this week's been around age group racing, both gates, and open class racing. There's going to be some challenges there to get everyone to buy into this from across the board, from the clubs to the trainers and drivers. Everyone has to buy into that.
Yeah, we can't. If we're leaving anyone behind, we're in trouble. There has to be that collective understanding, and that's why we're having these sessions separate today. After we've had these sessions, we'll go on a road trip, and we'll bring every person that needs to listen and to be heard into the town hall type. It's hard to get 15,000 people that are part of a sport together, and they can't all be heard. We'll do our best, but this way here, at least we've got a starter for conversation, that we know that we've got people that back it, we know we're on the right track, and we know that people want that change, and that's all we can do at this stage.
Gary, some of the stuff talked about, there will need to be rule changes, but you have the statistical information to back them up, and that's a big part of your background.
Yeah, so my background's IT, as a lot of people know, and I'm big on stats and data. And we made it very clear to the board who requested that from us, bring us the data, educate on the data, and let that be. Sure, you got your gut feel. I know we all got that gut feel, but the data tells you where the money is and how to spend it, and where the opportunity is for the future. So data is a big driver behind all of this.
Progress pathways between now and October, there's going to have to be some markers, isn't there? And we've got to hit them well and truly on time.
Yeah, so we're going to, this group, the last one today, they'll have 2 weeks to come back to us with their thoughts. We'll then have same sessions again, but then we'll widen it to a few more people, because what we're going to do is start putting this information out on websites. You're going to help us, Greg, with some documentary stuff and widen the net, so that when we do go on the roadshow, more and more people are educated on the conversations.
Are you more confident now that you've been through these forums than you were prior to them starting?
Yes, I am. I was worried when we first started because we weren't quite ready. We weren't as polished as I wanted to be and get everything, in the right frame for discussion. but we're all human, and people have adapted to things that we might not have had ready and filled in the gaps for us as we've had the conversation. So to be fair, I might have been able to get the team to go a week or two earlier. It was just that we wanted to have it in the best condition we could to present it, and the contribution from all of the members that have come along is outstanding.
You presented to the board initially. What was their reaction?
Very positive. They're up for change. That was the first thing that was asked by our chair, John Coulomb. Are we up for this change, or are we wasting our time? 100% we're up for the change. We have to change, Greg. We won't have a sport in 3 years' time to the level we want it to be.
Well, I've been lucky enough to be at each of the forums, and that's been the attitude right across the industry. They understand that if we don't change, we'll be further behind.
Yeah, and you'll remember the trainers one. I was a bit worried about the trainers. They're employed. It's their business. It's their life. It's where they get their money. I'm employed here. I'm the trainer. So anything we do, it's their livelihood for their families. And they grabbed it. You saw it. We're up for the change. Tell us what you want and we'll make it happen. How good's that?